welcome back to the Survivor Angelica All Stars recap. It is me, Coach Drew, joined as always by DB. DB, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm good. Opening day of baseball. Well, I mean, I guess we could call it the official opening day. We saw a blowout last night on Netflix, but I digress. But
for those
we're
who have
good.
Netflix,
We get to talk LRG, Survivor Angelica.
And we are joined by a cast member of Survivor Angelica, but not Boot. We have Troy joining us. Troy, how are we doing tonight?
Living the dream, my friend. Living the dream.
Thank you so much for joining us. I brought this up before we went live. Troy had reached out to me earlier today, bringing up that he was going to be coming on. And I thought that Troy had spoiled that he was getting voted out of the episode. But spoilers, Troy does not get voted out of the episode. My winner pick, other than Ashley, did. So we're going to get to that, all the fun stuff with the relay, who has an idol, and a swap and a half. So starting with the fallout of everything that happened the previous night, DB, we get basically a cold open beforehand where it's just like, okay, yeah, the Joseph thing happened. It seems like only two people know where the idol is. It seems like we're gonna find out later. Probably not. What did you think about all of this? Like going into the auction. What did you think about what everyone had to say here at the beginning?
Yeah, it's interesting because you come off of one of, when we discussed this last episode, you come off of one of the most toughest ways to have a tribal, which you have all of them all together. You have 3 eliminations, and you're coming not the next day, but immediately after that with raw emotion. And that's what I liked about this particular setup is you're getting raw emotion from Taylor, Alan, Ashley, James, and Culp. And it's kind of nice. But I agree with you. We're still got some questions that have to be answered, and it kind of hooks you and brings you into the fold, and really is all right, now I'm invested because I want to see how this plays out.
Sure. How long was that night? That night for you. Once all the challenges are done and we have to sit through, well, you have to sit through 3, but over the course of, I don't know, however many hours, you have to sit through 4 tribals and what we get to in this second segment coming up. So how was that night for you personally?
It felt eternal. I mean, because the whole scramble was insane for us trying to figure out, it's very difficult to get one name. Let's get 3 names very quickly. So that was difficult. Once we got past all that and we're just sitting with what we were left with, it was, okay, where do we go? The lines had been drawn and trying to figure out who voted for who. There was a few rogue votes, like my ally Meg, she got a rogue vote. Who did that? Where did it come from? Trying to put all those pieces together. Who was telling the truth? Who was lying? And all of that. And then we also had the auction too. Once the auction happened, then there was that whole element too of now what do we do? And for us, we spent a lot of time just sitting at that fire, somewhat contemplative silence, trying to figure out, do we peel off? Do we not peel off? Do we try to be kumbaya? Do we not? It was really awkward for a lot of us.
Honestly, I'm shocked that the auction happens in the same night as 4 challenges and 4 tribals. Because I mean, obviously it's summertime, so it might actually be earlier than I think it is in my head. In my head, it's already 1 a.m. At this point when you guys are getting to the auction. It's these people have been up all day. They just want to get through this. And so all of a sudden the auction is kind of dropped on y'all. DB, at this point in this process of day 1, are you just chilling? For the auction, are you buying food? Are you doing what are you doing in this spot?
I mean, you could have said this is a bag of air, the first item, and I'm going for it. I'm ready to just mentally be done. Most likely, most people were mentally, I'm just drained, whatever. I just don't want to lose a vote here. I don't even really care what this is. let me just get the first thing and get it out of the way.
Yeah, it's and Troy, I mean, you can speak more to this when the auction is dropped on y'all, when you find out, okay, this is what we're doing next, and it's not bedtime or anything like that. How are you feeling?
I think we are all legitimately drained. And then I think the fact that, Jason was like, if you are the one who has the highest amount of tokens at the end of this, you're losing your vote. Like, great twist, great element to it. It definitely scared us. Like, I think you even heard James at one point say, I'm not trying to lose my vote. And he's just like, I'm going to spend all my tokens as quickly as we can. And I mean, at least for me, that was part of my strategy. Is like, I want to get rid of them. I want to get it done. I don't want to lose my vote. But at the same point, I was like, I also wanted to do something that was tribe for the tribe, even at an individual stage, because we're still tribe strong, supposedly, at this point. But yeah, I think it was like, let's just get rid of it. No one wanted to lose their vote. But there was also so many of us at least for me, my brain could not hold how many tokens each person had. I just like that other side, because they won so many challenges. In my head, they had like 50 tokens each. Like, I don't even know what they had, but in my head, they had like 50 each. I'm like, okay, well, we're not going to win anything.
Well, apparently Ashley has like 100, so I don't think we saw that this time, but allegedly, that's where we're at with her. So honorable mention before we get to the more important advantages won here. Troy does win a space heater. Way to go. That didn't work.
It didn't work.
No.
It was a joke at first, but it turns out it didn't work. Okay. Was it because of the outlet, or it just actually just...
So it turns out it was the outlet. We ended up getting burgers and something else for it. We bartered for food. So it ended up working out all right, but it was a joke that like, yeah, it may work, it may not work. It didn't work.
But the more important, no offense to the food and the heater and all that, Trenica gets... Well, actually, no, we'll start with Sandra. So Sandra gets the hidden right power at the auction. We don't find out what that is until tomorrow. And Trenica gets 2 advantages. The first is to take all of the tokens from one person. Trenica decides on Angela, and then gets another one that gives their tribe a head start, a 60-second head start, and not a 7-minute head start for the next challenge. DB, auction, like let's say you are in this exact game. Which one are you more? Which of these 3 advantages? Which one are you really vibing with at this point?
I mean, given you don't know what's next, and given that you're trying to just make it through another day, and given that they alluded to a tribe swap being on the horizon, I think having that 60-second head start is critical, because you want to do anything in your power to make sure you win. I think 60 seconds is a good amount of time to have that head start. And I think, to me, that's the most important advantage that you could have in this particular moment.
I would disagree.
All right, Troy. Why?
In these games, the unknown is always going to be stronger. Is always going to be stronger and always going to be the better advantage, right? Because it's going to hover over and make people question what it is. It's more scary for you and puts a bigger target on you, but inevitably it's always going to be more beneficial.
I don't disagree. I do want to ask you, going off of what both of y'all just said, in the moment for you, when you find out that Sandra has this advantage that no one's going to know until whenever it's revealed, what's going through your head?
I'm thinking she's going to be picking the swap tribes.
Wow. Okay. So not too far off. So we end with John V having the most coins left and losing his vote at his next tribal council, which, spoilers, we don't get here. The next day, we have our potential first, but maybe only, tribe swap of the game. And we're going to probably bring this up a couple of times during this. The perception of swap screwed, because I think in live games that I feel like that phrase is more accurate in a live game than it is on the real show because of how short of a time we have to get to know each other and get to build those bonds. I feel like a lot of LRGs, people do tend to stick with what they know at a certain point. DB, what are your thoughts on the phrase "swap screwed" when it comes to the LRG community?
I mean, from a entertainment standpoint, that's what you want to see is it meaningful and mean something and really dictate some gameplay. From a player standpoint, I think it sucks. It does suck when you are putting yourself, and I think you hear, and we'll get to this, I'm sure you hear Meg talk about it in her exit, that she had felt as though she was set up in a good position prior to this happening. So it's almost like you have all this work go on. You have this huge, gamut of 4 people eliminated. And then you have this, oh, by the way, all the work you did to avoid getting eliminated on night 1 of the 4 that were sent home, you're going to have to redo and rework your bonds. And if you are screwed, figure out a way how to get unscrewed. So it's a tough situation. A good mechanic, obviously, one that most LRGs will use, but definitely can be challenging and tough and almost unfair at times.
Yeah. Troy, I'm assuming you've been on both sides of a swap screw. For you in a game, especially a game, so you've done one day games, you've done, for you, is there is it always open door, or at a certain point it's like, okay, it's probably not going to happen this time, but let's cross paths in another game?
I was just thinking, in all the tribe swaps that I've experienced, I don't think I've ever been in the majority.
Oh, okay.
I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think I've ever been in the majority. My first tribe swap ever, my first game, I'm going to say it was 8 original people from the original tribe and me. So it was 8-1. That was pretty bad.
Did you make it out on that one?
I did, thankfully. Yeah. But usually when I get tribe swap screwed, I don't make it out. So, it's always a gamut. My mentality is always, you have to work. You have to do whatever you can. I think the more times I'm in those positions, the more I have fun with it. I played one where I just caused pure chaos. I channeled every crazy thing I could think of and just threw it at the wall. It's like, let me see what happens. They're games. So yeah. I try to have fun.
Yeah. And especially in online games, so live games as well, if I know a swap is coming, I almost hope that I get swapped in a situation where I'm 1 or 2 of my OG tribe, because at 1 or 2, you can kind of, we're going to bring this up later with you trying to find cracks. 1 or 2, it's very easy to find those cracks. If it's 3, then they're going to try to take 1 out first before they open the door for the other 2 in. So if I'm going to get swap screwed, I want to get swapped in such a bad minority that there's almost no way that I go home, because we know who we're playing against. We know that these are gamers. We know they're always out there trying to make the big move and all this other stuff. So I just kind of trust humans to do human things. And in this situation, it's, oh, okay, yeah, you'll turn on each other. I'm just going to sit here and work and talk to you until you flip on each other. DB, how what are your experiences of as far as swaps are concerned?
I mean, I've been in 2 games where one I was in the majority, and that worked out fairly well, and then one where I wasn't, but was able to get one of the other players in the majority to flip. And that's a great feeling when you do that. But there's a downside, because once you do that, you're kind of having to put that person's game in your hands, and you could possibly, which is what ended up happening. I feel like Hannah's game, in the game that I played, I put her life in my hands, and I kind of ruined it for both of us, but it was the only way to move forward at that moment.
We can talk about, and I'm like I said, I'm going to bring it up again later when we get to the boot. But I have a lot of very strong opinions. Moving on, Sandra's advantage, I guess, is an advantage. She gets to decide after the swap happens to switch two people that have already been swapped. Troy, were you content with where you? Oh, obviously, no. But like,
no,
what
actually,
were you hoping would happen?
So that swap, I felt good. I felt good, because Kiri and I had a good connection at the waiting for the game to start. Like, we had a good connection, and even her partner, we were getting along really well in the original cadre tribe. So like, I felt like Kiri and I could work together. Sandra, I knew Sandra from my very brief original try at Angelica a few years back. So like, I was like, okay, maybe we can work. And Culp, I knew from that same game. So I was like, okay, maybe we can work together. Meg and KC, coming from the original cadre, like, those were like the two people I felt closest with from my original tribe. And John V and I had played a game this summer prior to, and ran pretty far into the game together. So I was like, oh, actually, I feel like I've got lots of opportunities here. So this is good. We're 4-4 split. Like, this could work out well. And then Sandra changes everything. And I was like, now the numbers don't feel quite so good.
So, I guess in that spot, who were you, like, who was the prime people to switch? Who were the prime people to switch? Whatever.
What do you mean? Like, who was that?
If you got to tell Sandra who to switch.
Yeah, I was surprised. I don't know like who, but I thought she would have taken Trinica, simply because Trinica had the advantage. If you have that 60-second advantage, going back to what TB said earlier, like, take that. But at the same point, she didn't know Trinica, unknown quality. So like, why would you do that? But then, I don't know, 60-second advantage.
John and Angela instead. And I know that it's brought up a little later, but now puts John and Taylor together. We're going to get Sandra's reasoning behind it a little later. But we're going to first get to basically sort of a relay race type challenge, with Trinica's tribe having that 60-second head start. DB, what part of this challenge would be your bread and butter?
The running. No, I think the accuracy part would be the thing. I would be jacked up to do the most. The stacking of the pucks at the end is what it is. I don't think I would be bad at it, but if I had to pick one part to be in, I think I want to come out of the gate with the slingshot for sure.
Yeah, I'd take the running in an instant. The pucks, if I was on the tribe that had the 60-second head start, yeah, of course, because my hands wouldn't shake. But if there was any type of pressure, it ain't happening. Also, I'm blind, so the target, once again, would not be the best bet. Just let me run and hope that I don't get gassed. Troy, coming into this challenge, I know you said that once the second swap happened, the numbers didn't feel as good as they were before. Was this do or die for you just in the moment? Did you feel like, if we don't win this, I'm done?
No, I didn't feel like it was do or die, but I felt like it was, I could be in a precarious situation, because I didn't have any kind of relationship with Angela. I didn't have any kind of relationship with Alan. I didn't know them. I knew their reputation and their past games, but I didn't know them personally. So that was kind of an issue for me, like just blind spots, really. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm okay, maybe I'm not. Losing John was, for me, I think the hardest part. John, knowing how much of a competitor John is, like, I felt like losing him, seeing that challenge and losing John is like, I don't know that we will stand up and have a chance to win this. If that makes any sense.
Oh no, it makes perfect sense. Because
Drew,
of the 60
Drew,
second head start. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for Troy. Troy, you mentioned, not knowing a couple of those players and being familiar with their gameplay. How important is it to know how the players play in a format like this? Or is it advantageous to just kind of be blind and go, let me put some trust and not have this preconceived notion about how a person plays?
This is such a great question. For me, I used what I knew about people's past games as sort of that barometer of, are they being authentic and truthful with me in game, right? I know it, to some degree in these games, we blend the truth from who we are, right? We give ourselves permission to lie, to bend the truth and bend our character, but we can only do it so far without seeming inauthentic and not truthful to our core person, right? And when we do that, and this is just my belief, when we do that for so long, we can't keep that up and it starts to become really apparent. So for me, if I knew how people played their games previously, like Sandra, for example, plays a very loyal game. I know that if I'm not on Sandra's starting tribe, there's a good chance that she may never feel loyal to me. She may feel connected and like we can be allies, but she may never feel like I'm going to be her number one, right? Same thing, like having played with Meg before. Meg very much plays a very loyal game, very cerebral, very smart game. If you are on her starting tribe, you can click and connect. Same thing with John V. John V, if you are his number one, he will go to the end with you and he will fight for you. So knowing these pieces, I think, at least for me, just helped me see the landscape of how people will inevitably play this game.
So it's basically you from an athletic standpoint, you have the scouting report on everyone, and you can choose to decide to, okay, this is probably what they're going to show me. If they show me anything different, is this real or is this them trying to do something else? Like, and I think it's a perfect. When people say that it's LRG season, when I first joined the community, it didn't make that much sense to me. And then as I've been around for 5 years, every year it's like, yeah, like this is a lot of people's like big time athletic or whatever. This is their big time hobby. They put a lot of money into this. They put a lot of travel into this, and you don't win much, if anything. It's because it's for the fun. It's for the competition. It's for seeing if you can maneuver around other people that have the same type of mentality, I guess. And my least favorite thing is always going to be the challenges. So my least favorite thing are the challenges. Yeah, I hate I hate challenges. I like watching challenges. They're a lot of fun. I just don't like doing them. I'm a retired athlete. I just want to just relax. But ultimately, the team with the 60-second head start, which seemed a lot longer not in real time, but on screen, it felt like a lot longer. Wins in pretty much a blowout. At least it felt like that. Troy,
complete blowout.
Okay.
Complete blowout. We were finding nothing out in that field.
Well, was it a wide field?
It's pretty wide. I mean, there was, I think there was like a grid of, I think it was like 8 by 10 of like cones that you would use in gym class that we had to flip over. But both tribes were reflipping it, so you didn't know what had been flipped, and you could only flip one at a time. And it wasn't a far distance to run, but like it was enough to gas you pretty quickly.
Yeah. But speaking of flipping things over, we get Culp finding a block of vote that is usable until, I believe, final 6. Block of votes are, I guess, one of the advantages that I do actually enjoy in these games. I am someone that is, I hate advantages, but block of votes, I feel like they're not so overpowered that it just ruins everything. DB, if you had to rank block a vote, steal a vote, extra vote.
Oh man, block a vote's great, but if you know your time is up, blocking one person's vote's not going to matter. I think having an extra vote can be a game changer because you can use it to barter, you can use it to threaten, you can use it to put doubt in people's heads without even having to play it. So I would say probably having an extra vote would probably be my choice.
Troy?
I think both are equally powerful, but it depends on, I think, the numbers of when you use it.
Yeah. Next on my list, Troy finds cracks, looking for cracks after being swapped into a minority. Looking at the other 2 people you came to the swap tribe with after you've lost the challenge, is it time to save Troy and then worry about these other 2, or are you looking for ways to potentially save all 3?
I am looking to save Troy first and foremost. I will be honest. I'm looking to save Troy first and foremost. That being said, I wanted to also save Meg and save Casey if I could. I felt like there was a possibility, but I needed to save Troy. I mean, I had this chip on my shoulder coming back to Angelica after being first boot that I was going to do whatever I needed to, fight tooth and nail to get as far as I possibly could in this game and really have my own redemption story. So so Troy first and foremost, but at the same point, again, my 2 closest allies coming from my OG tribe, swapping with them, I wanted to keep them as much as I possibly could.
We're going to get to Idlegate, which is something that I thought was going to be done in the opening segment. I thought it was going to be done when Joseph left. And instead, it is now, okay, we don't trust everything that Taylor did last night. I don't remember who said it, but Taylor's a great actress, this, that, and the other, played shot in the dark. Why would she do that if she has an idol? Does she have an idol? Did they pass it off to somebody else? Alan swearing up and down on everything that is good in the world, that he doesn't have it. Sandra believes it because, yeah, he's probably telling the truth. DB, what did you think about this entire segment? Because this does take up a lot of the strategizing going into Tribal is talking about where the idol is and who's lying about what.
Yeah, going into the episode, I thought it was going to be a clear, everyone's going to find out and they're going to know who has it. But as this episode takes shape, we get to the end and it's still very much in the air as far as who actually has this idol or what's going on. I mean, there is even still talk that Alan gave Culp something. Like, we're still revisiting that. So there's a lot of different things. And I think this is the advantage of having all of these different mechanics in play, is that you can start having these who has what, did he give it to her, did she give it to him type conversations. And You know, so I originally thought like you did, we were going to find out really quick and this wasn't going to be a thing. But clearly, as we get to tribal, this is still a brewing issue.
Troy, as far as advantages are going this season, just especially like how you are able to access them and everything in between. Are you looking more for the advantages, or are you looking for the people that have the advantages?
I'm not really good at finding advantages. When we arrived at our camp on the day one, we quickly saw the coins or tokens, whatever, and they were snapped up like that. As soon as like we saw them, people were grabbing them. I think I got my hands on one of them, Coach, before like I could even like comprehend what was going on. Like people were snapping them up so quick. So I'm not really very good at finding them or grabbing them before someone else does. So my strategy, I'll look. I'm not necessarily going to find them. So usually it is more of information about who has them and how to use that information to my advantage.
I quickly want to ask, because I just went off in my head as you're talking there. During part of the strategizing, you're smoking. Are you double fisting cigarettes? It looked like you were double. It looked like you had a cigarette, and then it looked like you had an extra one that was like on its last legs. In your, I might have been seeing. It could have been something else in your hand, but it looked like you had one full cigarette and like a nub of a nub.
Drew, give him a break. It was a long day. It was a long night and a long day.
And that's what I was like. Oh man, Troy's double fisting cigarettes. Like,
I mean, it's possible, but I don't think I don't think so.
Okay.
But
I'll have to find the clip and send it to you.
Yeah, find the clip and I'll tell you.
Like but as we get to tribal, it kind of looks like Meg's back is, and so for me watching this, I still think you're going home because you had reached out. So I'm like, how does Meg pull this off? Because it seems like people want Troy to stay around. And Meg makes a plea. At what point did you hear it's Meg, period, this is what we're doing?
So the way I recall it all played out, the first conversation I had after we got our stuff, the three of us, and came back to the new camp was with Kiri. And Kiri pulls me aside and she's like, I feel good with you. I want to rock with you. I'm good with Sandra. You're the first name that everyone said that they felt good with you. So right away, that was the first piece of information I got, that everyone on the tribe from the OG Ordo was like, yeah, Troy, we feel good with Troy. And I was like, oh, this is actually quite surprising information. I mean, you have to take it with a grain of salt, right? Like, but I was like, this is really interesting. Then the next conversation was with Sandra, and Sandra basically said the same thing. And then each conversation I had, it was almost like the first thing everyone said. And it started to feel real, but no one was giving me a name. And I circled back up with Casey and Meg, and their stories were not matching with what I was getting. So I was like, okay, I think I'm actually okay without me having to do much at all, which blew my mind. Grateful. Going back through again, I see Alan starting to freak out and like run around. And I think it was Culp who pulls me aside and was like, we want to do Meg. Meg's where the votes are going. And he's like, to save you, that's where it's going. If it's not Culp, I don't want to put the Culp on the hot seat on this. Like, I think, but I'm not 100% sure that's who gave me the name. But it was at that moment, it's like, we feel good with you. We want you to stay, but here's the name we're going with. And it's like,
it's got to be a gut punch, right? It's
Yeah.
got to be like the probably worst case scenario is you, but like second worst case scenario is now you've forced to put a name down that you don't want to put down.
And they know that. I mean, that's the thing. It's like we all are in this community. We all play these games and we see each other. Some of us have played previous games with one another, so we know that there is personal history and friendships. So it is a true gut punch. I don't know how many people in the tribe knew like that Meg and I are friends outside of this game. So like it triply hurt for me. Yeah. And it wasn't at that moment. Like I personally did not feel like I had any social capital that I could draw on and be like, hey, could we do someone else? Like I see that there's fractions, like, right? It's Culp and Alan over here, and it's Kiri and Sandra over here. Can we do one of those? Right. And I just didn't feel like I had that power, which really, I mean, frustrating.
And you're not the only one to have said that, because there are people giving confessionals both before tribal and one during voting confessional of saying like, hey, we could do something here if we had more time. And I'm gonna get to Angela's voting confessional in a bit, but it's probably because I am real life friends with Meg, but like just her body language the entire time, I'm like, oh my god, like I really felt, I really felt for her. And so when she gets up to do Shot in the Dark, I think at this point I realized, oh, okay, maybe Troy's just coming on just because. And so the shot in the dark, Meg goes to the voting confessional, plays her Shot in the Dark, and Angela goes in and basically says, hey, if we had a little bit of more time, this would not be happening. And I believe it. One, because she's talking privately to the camera, but it never seemed like from jump that this was a tribe that was going to stay strong the entire time. And I think because you guys came in with 3 instead of 2 and had maybe a little less time than normal, maybe, I don't know, that ultimately led to Meg going here. DB, for you, based off just what we see in the episode, if it was one of the other 5, who do you think would have been in the most trouble?
Oh man, I think it's hard to say. Obviously there's a lot of suspicion that is thrown at people, but I don't know. That this is the part of the game that makes it very, very tough, because now you're getting into a situation where you're having to, it's like why live tribals, in my opinion, are so chaotic and stressful. And what I hate the most is because you can't talk to everybody at once, and you see people talking about you in front of you, but you're not a part of it. And so like trying to, I couldn't even answer this, man. I really don't know. I don't know who it could be.
Troy, did you have any names? I know you probably weren't willing to say a name at that point because of where you are at, because of pecking order. But for you, it's like, is there someone that, and you don't have to say their name now because of what may or may not happen later in the game. Yeah. But did you have thoughts on maybe I could sway people this way?
I did get another name. Yeah. But I didn't get it with enough time. I mean, I literally was, I think, on the way as we were walking to Tribal. But I did want to say something about that Plinko. Meg, actually, I was hoping when I realized that she played her Shot in the Dark, she had the advantage of playing Plinko twice before. I was hoping in that moment that she learned something from those 2 times before of like where to place it and would have made it land. I was like, even though it might have cost me my game, I secretly was like hoping like she knew exactly where to place it.
I was too. I was too. I don't think you'll answer that, but we are being asked who. But you don't have to answer that if you don't want to. No. Okay.
Speaking of Alan, Troy, was everyone aware that Alan at this point had a safety without power?
I think it was. I can't speak for Casey or Meg, but it certainly seemed like we all knew.
Was there any talk to get him to try to burn that? I know he mentioned not wanting to use it to try to provide some safety for the other four. But he also said in the event that he felt like he needed it, he was going to burn it and just be out of there. So that's why I asked. I wonder if it was in a thought to try to get him and get that out of the game.
I think he might have mentioned it to me early in a conversation that round, but it felt very like, I'm going to toss it out here to see how you respond. And I didn't give him anything, and it never came back to anything. I mean, yeah.
Well, at this point, do you know about where a lot of these advantages are, or is it?
No, the only event Culp didn't tell me at this time. I didn't know about that advantage he found in that challenge, and I only just found out about the safety without power that Alan had. I knew about Ohio Matt's one because he found it right there in front of us. But in this moment in the game, that's all I knew.
So we're sadly gonna lose Meg here unanimously because of the shot in the dark. DB, final thoughts on Meg and her final words?
Yeah, like I can feel for her in the moment. Like if the basis of voting someone out is because you perceive them as having a limitation, whether it be a physical, like challenge oriented or puzzle oriented, if that's the reasoning, okay. But to me, that's like the low hanging fruit to grab at, to try to get someone out. So I really felt for her in the moment, and I wish that she was still around,
Yeah, it's a very old. So for me, old school is 1 through 19. It's a very old school way of thinking about tribe strength. Of we're just gonna assume. Well, just and I'm not. This is not me attacking anyone. This is just we're gonna assume this, that, and the other based off of what we have here. This person using our own biases, whatever. This is what we're going to do. Now, whether that's right or wrong, like whatever, it's a game. People vote out folks for all types of reasons. There's, we can't say, hey, you can't do this because of this, because you're going to vote how you're going to vote. I definitely got where she was coming from in that situation. I've seen her do challenges before. I know, but that's the thing is, if you don't know, if you're only going off of what you were seeing in front of you, and let's not forget the swimming challenge, which I think, if that is ingrained in your head, I feel like that is where folks that don't know would go, and I don't blame them for it, don't knock them for it, but that is a very much a 1 through 19 way of thinking about what tribe strength actually means, because we're at finals 15 now, but we're at final 16 before the vote. The merge is going to come soon, maybe. Who's to say? At this point, you're trying to get people that will be with you. It doesn't really matter if you win challenges or not at this point, because as long as you have your core and your folks, you'll be fine. Troy, you were going to say something?
I want to know who said that to her, because I know I certainly never said that. I would never use that as my basis to vote someone out. So when I heard that in her final words, it was quite surprising and shocking to me that if anyone said to her that was why they were voting her, I'm flabbergasted, legitimately flabbergasted, because it's like that's not the Meg I know, and the Meg performance that I saw in Angelica. Okay, swimming one thing, but let's be honest, that swimming thing was not easy for most of the people that were doing it, right? Like that.
Seems like Alan's with you.
Yeah. So I want to go on for a record. Like that was for me, that should not be the reason why. And so.
Yeah. Well, to start to wrap things up, DB, final thoughts on the episode. We're in the shit now. We're at 16 and we've already had the swap. It looks like, we finally kind of have a blueprint of who's working with who and all of that. What are we thinking at the end of this?
I mean, I'm liking where we're at. Obviously, the episode title, Cracks Within the Tribe. We're starting to try to see where some of these fault lines might be. We also have all these little subplots that I think are going to start playing out, and it's really going to tell a bigger story as we get closer to Merge and as we get into Merge, when we start having, big time conversations and big time divides, and we're going to see these alliances that are either intact, either stay strong, or we start seeing them splinter off. So I think we're in a good spot. I like the episode.
I'm curious, DB, what alliances are you seeing?
I mean, I had it written down, and I think looking at some of them, let me go back to my notes here. I mean, originally, in the very first episode, you talk about Ashley, who's saying she's good with a lot of people. Angela, Culp, Alan, to name a few, which when you start looking at Ashley, and I had her last week, Coach asked me for a winner pick. I picked Ashley. I thought she was in a good position, and knowing those are the people that are backing her and then seeing it play out, it looks like that's pretty legit. But I also see, you in this episode talk about, I could work with a Culp. I could work with these people. So I could definitely see these larger groups now coming into 3s and 4s and not 6s. And so having those 3s and 4s that could break off, I could see that happening in many different areas. But, right now I think we're in a good spot where it could be anybody. I think KC is in a position right now where he's looking to see where his next move is, especially if this is the tribe that he's going to be with for a while. And I think you're probably in that position at this point too. Okay, now Meg's gone. Now which way am I going to lead? Who can I trust? Who can I get with? And I think that's the beauty of where we're at right now.
DB, to follow that up, if Troy's tribe loses again, do you think that it'll come down to him versus KC, or do you think that it's one of the other 5 that go out? Not specifically who, but do you think it's the 5 against the 2, or do you think this is finally where they actually break apart if they lose?
I hope it's where they break apart. I hope it wouldn't be just that. I hope it's not the easy way out. Okay, we got numbers. Let's make it easy, because you hear that a lot in a lot of games. Let's just do the easy vote. And a lot of times that never ends up being the case. It never is just the easy vote a lot of times, but you hear it a lot. And so I hope that's not the case. But like I said at the beginning of the episode, I don't expect to see Troy back on here for a while. So there you go. So I feel like he's in a good spot.
I do too. I think that now that you were down to 2 people from your OG tribe on the swap, I think this is the perfect situation for you you already said you're looking for a crack anyway. I think this is the moment where you were able to find your footing. Now, if we're sitting here talking to you next week.
I also am going to hang on what Troy said now. He said, if they had more time, it definitely wouldn't have gone the way that it did. And to me, that says, well, he just needs a little more time, and like things are going to start turning. So that's what I want to see.
Troy, are we? What time are we roughly at? Is it still morning? Like it's still early-ish morning at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we don't obviously have clocks and watches and all that. But we were up at first light, more or less, and we had probably a good hour or 2 before we got started. But it's definitely early morning.
Okay. I'm just, for my own, I guess, clock to figure out when certain things might happen, Merge. Just figuring out where we're at in the day at this point. Troy, do you have any final words? I guess what are you hoping that we see of you moving forward?
All right. So I guess my final words is this round, and at this point in the game, for me as someone who's played a few LRGs, this was perhaps the most mentally taxing round, trying to figure out the spider web of everything, knowing that, it's an all-star game. People are coming in with past relationships, baggage, bad blood, good relationships. All of that does come into play, whether we want it to or not. So trying to sort of parse through all that, and that's just how I operate. Like I like that kind of information. Like it's fun for me for whatever twisted way my brain works. But this round, particularly as I'm coming into a swap tribe, figuring out, okay, well, who is friends with who played what game together, and feeling like how I can find those cracks was so emotionally taxing for me. But yet at the same point, the fact that I survived it was absolutely invigorating for me. What I hope you see from me going forward is someone who is having fun playing the game, who's coming to play this game, who does what he does well and plays who is himself, who plays a social strategic game and is the biggest, baddest comp beast there ever was. No, not that.
I'm gonna find that screenshot of the double fist. I have to find it. Well, thank you, Troy. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Shout out Meg. Shout out everyone in the chat. As always, thank you so much for continuing to join us. Go Sox. It's opening day. Go Rays. Go Rays. And we will be back here next week to cover episode 5 of Survivor Angelica All Stars. Until then.